Brahms wrote two overtures at once. As he said, one weeps, the other laughs. The Tragic Overture is an interesting piece because it's very much in the tradition of the Romantic Overture. Especially, I think, I hear echoes in it of Mendelssohn's Fingal's Cave, the Hebrides. So it's an interesting piece that is not one of his best known, but it is certainly at the peak of his mastery. The Concerto for Violin and Cello, the Double Concerto, is his last big orchestra piece. It was written for a very specific and personal purpose. He and Joachim, his great friend and colleague, had been estranged for years because Brahms had taken the side of Joachim's first wife when he divorced her. Joachim kept playing Brahms's music, but they didn't contact each other for years. So it was a kind of last flowering of his symphonic music written for a friend, and it did the job. He and Joachim never became quite as close as they had, but they were basically reconciled at the end of Brahms's life. Symphony number 3, I once heard a well-known Brahms scholar say Symphonies 1 and 2 for Brahms are actually Beethoven's 10th and 11th, and the Third Symphony is actually Brahms's first. Well, he was being ironic, and the First Symphony is wonderful and highly Brahmsian and Beethovenian at the same time. It begins with this theme that is actually a quote from Robert Schumann. And he quotes his mentor, his tragic mentor's Robert Schumann's Rhenish Symphony. That's the opening theme. And for Brahms, just as for Robert Schumann, when you quote somebody's theme or use the musical letters of their name, that person is there. That they're in the music. Robert and that whole mess, glorious mess of Robert discovering Brahms and then going crazy and trying to kill himself and then ending up in an asylum, and Brahms falling in love with his wife, and they fell mutually in love, and then Robert died and Brahms left her. And yet it's kind of a grand look back, I think, the Third Symphony, at all that. It's his farewell to Robert, who died many years before. And his last look back at a terrifically painful and yet utterly important and transformative part of his own life.